Okay, I see a few answers already. I like to ask my students to review what they learned in the previous sessions. Thank you. Dr. Massa says, in my live Zoom sessions, I ask students to discuss what they learned from the weekly readings. Wonderful. Way to go. At the end of each class, I give them the learning objectives of the next session. Wonderful. And they also have the syllabus, right? So they have all that at hand. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's session on how to improve the effectiveness of the flipped classroom model by ensuring that your students get prepared before live sessions. So I'm going to be today's facilitator. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Eve Ojeda, and I'm the director of the Learning, Innovation, and Teaching Excellence Light Center. So hopefully we're going to have a candid conversation about the flipped classroom, which is the model that we use here at Westcliff. And we hear you. We know the challenges that we all teachers face in the classroom when we implement this model. So today, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions because it's a safe space for us to collaborate and to talk about what's working in our classrooms. So what are you guys doing that is actually working and helping your students get prepared? So but first, some house rules, okay? So please mute your mic when you're not speaking to keep the audio clear. Use the chat box to ask questions and share thoughts. You know that we always love participation. So please engage with the polls, with reactions, discussions that we're going to have. Keep in mind, this is a safe space for learning. So there's no right and wrong answer. You're here just to discuss how to better serve our students. So please respect different viewpoints. If you have any issues, please try to refresh and rejoin the session. If you need any other help, reach out in the chat with a private message, and I'll try to assist you. This session is being recorded and will be shared in this month's PD2Go newsletter. I will be sending that newsletter next week. And something to keep in mind is that starting in 2025, faculty can easily get a certificate of attendance for any live sessions that you complete at the Light Center. For self-paced courses on Acorn, you get it automatically from the system. But when you attend any of our live sessions, just fill out a short form at the end of the webinar, including a quick feedback to help us improve our sessions, and the link will be shared in the chat before we close, so please stay tuned. Okay, so let's start it. The flipped classroom can be a great way to teach and learn. We know that, but it only works if students come prepared. Without preparation, active learning during live sessions not going to happen, won't be effective. So today we'll share simple strategies to help students show up ready to participate. By the end of the webinar, I want you to walk away with actionable ideas to implement in your own courses. But before we begin, let's take a quick poll to see how familiar you are with the flipped classroom model. Let me just open a poll. And I want you to answer only the first question. How familiar are you with the flipped classroom model that we implement at Westcliff University? Are you really familiar with it? Do you know exactly what it needs to get done to make it work? Do you need more training on this? See, I already have 5. Let me wait at least for 50% of the audience to complete the survey. So I really want to see where we're standing. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, we're not that bad. 50% of you are very familiar with the flipped classroom model. So I really hope that you help me keep the conversation going and get some really good tips and ideas on how to help students get prepared. Somewhat familiar, 33%, and not familiar are all 70%. So this is a good start, and we have lots of resources on Acorn that you can complete. Okay, let me close the poll now. So what is it that we're going to do today? The flipped classroom model is a powerful approach that fundamentally changes how we use class time, right? Instead of lectures, students engage in foundational content before class through readings, videos, and exercises. This allows live sessions to focus on deeper learning through problem solving, discussions, and application of knowledge. However, ensuring that your students complete the pre-class work is a common challenge that we all have. Without it, the entire model breaks down. So that's why today we'll look at strategies to support students and hold them accountable. That's really important for coming to class prepared. By the end of this session, you'll discuss the key principles of the flipped classroom, recognize students' challenges, discuss preparation techniques to make sure students come to class prepared and ready to participate in your live sessions. So please feel free to use the chat box to make any comments or raise your hand if you want to participate. Now, let's start by ensuring that we're on the same page about the flipped classroom, or what the flipped classroom is. Traditionally, we know that lectures dominate class time, live class time, and students practice concepts on their own later. In the flipped classroom, this is reversed. So students engage in the course materials provided in the syllabus and on GAP before class. So the live sessions concentrate on applying that knowledge. However, if students don't prepare ahead of time, what happens? They enter the class lost and unable to engage in higher order thinking activities. So the key to success is using the pre-class materials offered in the syllabus and clearly connect them to your class in-class activities. So I share with you a link to the SWOT, a whiteboard that I created for this session. It has a SWOT analysis, and I want us to complete the first part of it. So you will see there that we talk about what are the main advantages of the flipped classroom model and interdiscipline. How does it enhance student engagement? Anyone, if you want to open your microphone as well. Okay, Dr. Massa says it gives everyone an opportunity to participate. Absolutely. They take also ownership of their own learning. Thank you. Anyone else? Absolutely, Dr. Atwe. It lowers the affective filter. It puts the emphasis on student-centered active learning. Absolutely. And this is something they're going to be talking about in a minute. Anyone else? It encourages students to participate. Absolutely. They need to come prepared to class. They can only talk about something they know, right? So if they come prepared to class, they're more willing to participate. Thank you so much. Keep the conversation going on the chat. Let's continue. So the flipped classroom model is a powerful approach. We know that can transform the learning experience. It encourages active learning and critical thinking as students engage with material before class and then they apply it during the live sessions. This model increases student responsibility and autonomy, as I can read on the chat, as learners take a more active role in their own education. It also allows for more personalized instruction during live sessions, as the teacher can tailor the content to the specific needs and challenges of the students. Finally, the flipped classroom enhances peer collaboration and engagement as students work together to apply and discuss the materials. So I'm not going to go back to the SWOT analysis because the whiteboard is not really working. I have nothing else open, so I don't know what it's talking about that I have 5 different whiteboards open. So I'm going to drop 2 questions in the chat now. We talked about the strengths. Now I want us to talk about the weaknesses and the threats. What challenges have you encountered with students' preparation, and what has worked to overcome them? Also, what external or institutional barriers could hinder the success of the flipped classroom model in your courses? So think about your own experience and how might student resistance or workload concerns impact its effectiveness. So Professor DeVita says it keeps me from lecturing all day long. Absolutely. I do know that there's certain, my experience as well, it there's certain resistance from students. They feel like, oh, the teacher, the instructor is not talking 24/7, then he or she is not teaching. So it's important that they also change their mindset concerning what the flipped classroom is all about. Holding them accountable to prepare for class ahead of time has always been challenging. It is a challenge. And actually, when we planned this webinar was because we saw that we get the data, we realize, okay, what is it that is needed? And most of you, when completing our service, we're talking about that, how frustrating it is when you spend hours planning a class and then your students come to class not prepared and you created everything, and then what happens? Then you have to, do you need to lower standards? You should not do that. You should hold them accountable. And we're going to be discussing that in a second. Now I'm going to change here because it's not working. Okay. So the flipped classroom model requires students to engage with pre-class materials, but this can present some challenges. One key issue is preparation gaps, where students come to class without having completed the necessary pre-work. We've been there. We know for a fact that some students may struggle with self-directed learning, so they need to be told exactly what to do, and this can hinder the effectiveness of in-class activities. Another challenge is the digital divide issue. Some students may have limited access to reliable internet or any other technology, so that can prevent, this situation can prevent full participation. Time management is also a common struggle, as students need to balance the pre-class work with their other academic or sports activities and personal responsibilities. Helping them develop effective study habits is also important. Overall, these challenges highlight the need to provide ample support, right, and guidance to students as they adapt to the flipped classroom model that we implement at Westcliff. Let me see the chat here before going to asking the next question. Some students, Dr. Moon says, some students with different learning culture are having difficulty participating. I agree. I agree. We have lots of resources on ACRN dealing with working with students from different with different academic readiness and also different cultures, because it is true. And I have been there when I'm teaching and I feel like my students are not participating. Maybe it's not that they don't want to, maybe it's not that they're not prepared. They're just used to, they need to understand how we work at Westcliff. They feel like they need to come to class, old school, not prepared, just sitting there and getting new knowledge. We need to think about not reteaching, but helping them understand the importance and the value of getting prepared beforehand. So now let's focus on solutions. We know that there is no one size fits all approach, but several strategies can help ensure students are prepared. So this time, let's use again the chat box. What strategies have worked for you in ensuring students complete pre-class readings and activities? So what specific pre-class and in-class activities do you implement effectively, to flip your classroom effectively, ensuring that students are ready and students can get engaged really in engaging conversations in your class? Audio and video options are wonderful. Thank you so much. Absolutely. He says, I found that students struggle with reading due to so many competing interests for their attention. I have suggested they listen to their readings. I have seen great improvement. Oh, interesting. Okay. They seem to really like the audio option. Okay. Thank you so much. Dr. Massa uses many case studies to help students understand what they're learning in readings, in the readings, and they can apply to real-world scenarios. That's a really good tip. Using case scenarios that are connected to the pre-class materials, so students see the value of reading and getting prepared before class. Make it simple and fun, integrating an audio, video, case study, or news article. I love that. Thank you so much. Making it practical, engaging. So the use of AI to gamify their learning is great too, absolutely. I tell students that each one of you will be expected to contribute to the discussion, absolutely. And we are going to have a look at it because we don't only have the rubrics, we also have the fact that students handbook that stipulates that they need to engage with their resources. So this is something that can keep them accountable for getting prepared for class. So yes, effective student preparation is key for active engagement and learning in the classroom. So today we're going to cover 7 key strategies to help ensure students come to class ready to participate. Again, this is an open conversation. Please feel free to jump in and give your ideas. I just collected 7, but it doesn't mean that those are the ones. So I just want to open the floor for conversations. It says you can use flipped interaction prompt partnered with ChatGPT. I would like to hear more about that. So the first one is engaging content. So the syllabus already provides a variety of mandatory multimedia resources. Some syllabi have videos, podcasts, interactive quizzes to make the course content more engaging, but you can also suggest additional resources on Gap. For instance, during the weekly online discussions that we need to facilitate every week, you can provide extra resources that might add to the academic conversation taking place on your Gap course. Instructor preparation is a key factor in the success of the flipped classroom model, as it requires you to design live sessions that build upon students' pre-class learning. And to do this effectively in your course, the only way is that you first become very familiar with the weekly readings, videos, and other materials that students are expected to complete before coming to class. In other words, once you get the syllabus and if student has to read 3 chapters, watch a video, you have to do that yourself so you can build upon that knowledge in your live sessions. Providing clear, explicit instructions for pre-class readings is crucial to help students understand what is expected of them and how the material relates to the live session. Because when students know the specific objectives of the readings and how this knowledge will be used in class, so they know that they have to read it because it will be used in class, they are more likely to approach the material with purpose and focus. I believe that you should explain that the content from pre-class readings is essential for active participation in live sessions. Like make it explicit. So you're going to tell them, hey, every activity, in-class activity, discussion, group work they're going to be doing in the live session will be based on the readings provided in the syllabus. So clear instructions also help students prioritize key concepts, right? Making their preparation more efficient and targeted. I read here real world connections, absolutely. For example, they need to optimize the restaurant business. You may use common sense and ChatGPT flipped interaction. Okay, wonderful. Great ideas. Also, we know that many students struggle with time management and procrastination, which can hinder their ability to effectively get prepared for live classes. So addressing these issues openly can help students improve their student habits. Say that in the first week of class, you can initiate a conversation about their current time management practices and allow them to share the challenges, successes. So listen to them for a bit, while also providing an opportunity for you, the instructor, to offer practical strategies for managing time effectively. Additionally, you can provide structured planning tools. You can provide weekly planning templates or create a time blocking exercise just to guide them in scheduling dedicated time, study, and to get engaged with the pre-class activities. That's going to help them stay organized and better prepared for live session. You can also use short quizzes at the beginning of the class to help students come prepared. They encourage students to review material before class and hold them responsible for doing so. If they know, for instance, when 2 or 3 instructors here in the chat said, well, I'd start my class asking about the readings or a short activity. It doesn't need to be that long, but connecting what they needed to read to come prepared to class is going to hold them accountable and responsible for that. Having students maintain weekly discussions on Gap to engage with the pre-class materials is an effective strategy as well, especially if your students complete the discussion questions before coming to the live session. This gets them to think deeply about the content and come to class ready to discuss. It happens a lot. You are engaging. We need to facilitate the gap, the online discussions gap. So you see what's missing there. You see what is it that you need to reinforce in the class. You see also you provide resources for students to engage, which means that when the students come to class, first you have a better picture of what you need to address in the classroom. Second of all, students are way more prepared to participate. Then participation grades they are a powerful motivator for student engagement and preparation when used effectively. So by tying participation grades to the completion and quality of pre-class preparation, and we have rubrics for that, you can ensure that students understand the importance of coming to class ready to contribute. So I'm going to show you in a minute the two rubrics that were provided by the Learning Design team for this presentation. And those are the BCS OCS participation rubrics that clearly outlines expectations for preparation, engagement, and contribution, which allows students to know exactly what is required to earn full participation marks. So this is going to reinforce the message that active involvement built on prior preparation is critical to their success in the course. And that's why I want to share I actually found two rubrics. If you see me looking everywhere, I'm working with 3 screens. So I found this first rubric in a few courses, and it's called Participation in Class Rubric Grading rubric grading rubric. Okay. So there is one part that is called engagement. So basically it says that students engage in substantial, meaningful contributions and insights. So basically it deals with the preparation of students before class and the participation in the class. The one that I think is more clear is this one that I also found in quite some syllabi. And here you can actually see in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comes prepared to class. So if they earn full participation, if they come prepared to class, you need to explain to them, because it's actually quite ambiguous. So we should explain to them, review the rubrics with them, exactly the Professor Massa, review the rubrics with them during the first class. Say, okay, this is what your full participation engagement will look like. So you have to actually active and substantive contribute to the class discussion. Come prepared to class, ask thoughtful questions. Those are going to be signs that are going to tell you that they're actually coming, that they read the readings, that they engaged with the pre-class resources. I asked them to mention their name in Zoom meetings and Zoom speech to text. Okay. Now, I also found something to keep students accountable there you go, for getting prepared to class. And that is actually in the in the student handbook. In the student handbook on page 61, it talks about how, it's a whole thing. I just made a screenshot, but it's how students can, what they need to do to earn credit units. So in other words, and it says here very clearly, almost at the end, that the 3 credit hours course requires 90 hours of preparation, which means that they cannot say that they didn't have time to prepare before class. Then they need to allocate those hours to get prepared, to give meaningful contributions to the class. It's even on the student handbook. Here, it also mentions it's the same page 61, but it mentions online courses. So regardless the modality you're teaching, students by the handbook, the student handbook, and the rubrics, they need to come prepared to class to be able to earn all the credits, the credit hours that your course has. Any questions? I read here, the objective is to give everyone the maximum grade. Only God can grade. I only share knowledge. Okay. Well, talk a little bit about that point. What are the biggest issues? And it's also our responsibility. If you're teaching a course, students don't come prepared and they get 100. for just showing up, what's the message there, right? What's the message? Oh, I don't need to prepare for class. I just need my full, um, my full participation grade, and that's it. When they see that points are taken off the participation rubric because they didn't read it, because their contributions were not really meaningful, then they will see the value of engaging with the pre-class activities. Something else is that if you also plan activities for your in-class, for your live sessions that have nothing to do with the readings, there is a disconnection there. So you really need to make sure that what you do inside, during your 2, 3, 4 hours of live session is connected to the resources offered in the syllabus. Any questions, any other tips? On Zoom, I also review the information in the program policies, and it's amazing how many students are not aware. Absolutely. 100% of participation grades for every student every time is the worst thing you can do for your classroom engagement. I absolutely agree. I know that we're busy. I know that they will fight back. Students are going to fight back. If you give them the grade that they deserve, they will definitely fight back. But you have a case. You can use the student handbook. You can use the rubric. You didn't come prepared to class. You didn't use the readings from the syllabus to participate, and that's gonna be a bit challenging the first 2 classes, but then you will see the fruits of that approach. I've received 50 plus grade change requests with new submissions. Yeah, I know that. I know. I used to teach as well, and it's difficult when teach here at Westcliff, and it's difficult when you know that you're being fair, because that's the first thing. You need to know that you're being fair with the grades. Use the rubric. That's about it. That's your support. And then you know the following day you're gonna get lots of emails. So my point is, make a case for those grades. Also, teach your students what is expected from them. It's important to talk to them about it. Take 5 minutes of the first day of class just to talk about the rubrics. What is expected from them? What does participation in a live class look like? Maybe they don't know. Maybe they come from a place or academic background where sitting there, smiling and nodding, it's enough. And they think they're doing a good job. Or maybe they even read the articles, but they don't dare to talk. If that's the case, then also offer other outlets. So not only talking, but also use a chat box. Do something that demonstrates that you are engaged and you are participating meaningfully in your class. That is true. You need to actually solve issues or prevent issues from happening. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, let's move on. I'm gonna leave. I actually left the answers from the morning session because I thought they were interesting and we can build upon that. I'm going to open a Mentimeter. Hopefully you can see it on my screen. I'm gonna add the link here. And I want you to tell me, I want this to be a conversation, not me lecturing. That was not the idea. How do you handle unprepared students in your class? I know we have all been there. We all face the same issue. What are you doing that is helping? Feel free to jump on the Menti to add your ideas. In the morning, we had, well, great accordingly. I agree. Absolutely agree. That's how you handle unprepared students. You're great, regardless what you know is going to happen the following day. But then complain to everyone that you have to modify the original grade. Well, that I disagree. You don't need to modify any grades. If you have a case, you have a rubric, and you know exactly why you gave that score. So that should be sufficient. Call on them by name. I'm not sure that's going to be a good strategy. Put them in groups with task to debrief. Let me refresh so I can get your answers. Let's see. Oh, okay, there you go. Okay, I can see more people. Um, call them out And remind them of participation expectations from week 1. Absolutely. Make examples out of them out loud, respectfully. I was about to say that. Respectfully. Put them in groups with tasks to debrief on afterwards. Thank you. Anything else? Let me refresh again to see if I have more. I'm having tech problems because I actually have a really nice integration of Mentimeter with Zoom. Put them in groups with tasks. I said that already. Have a conversation. Absolutely. And a conversation goes a long way if it's respectful. If it comes from a place where students know that you're trying to help. That's the idea. Thank you so much for sharing. There you go. Let me just, okay, sorry about that. Let me do this again. Perfect. Okay, so what's next? I asked you how you handle prepared students in your class. I know it's a difficult question. It's a very difficult question, but you are the experts in your classroom. You're there to guide your students. So I believe that the key message here is that we should not accommodate unprepared students. We should not do that, but rather stay firm and engage with them to understand why they didn't complete the preparation. So you can reinforce the importance of preparation, basically explain that you will explore the material in greater depth to reward those who came prepared. You need to keep that in mind. Some of them did get prepared, so they need to be rewarded anyhow. Follow up with unprepared students to understand the reasons. Was the assignment unclear, or were the readings too difficult, or do they fail to see the benefits of preparing? Use this as an opportunity to have a constructive dialogue in your classroom with your students and help them understand and recognize the value of being prepared. I believe that the goal at the end is to encourage preparation, not punish lack of it. With the right approach, we can turn this into a learning experience for everyone, for students and for professors. Any other tips? Again, I think key message, do not accommodate unprepared students. Stay firm and engage with them. Show the rubric, show the expectations in the class. Connect 3 class readings with your in-class activities. Now, we have a few conclusions and takeaways from this session, but I want you to use the chat box to also share with me a few takeaways from this very short session on how to deal with unprepared students, how to make sure that they come prepared to class to actively participate. I believe like the first takeaway is preparation is key. Preparation from students and from you, the instructor. So ensure students come to class ready by designing, engaging, and meaningful pre-class activities and in-class activities that are linked. Also, use class time for activities that promote critical thinking and the application of knowledge so you can easily identify who read and who didn't. Implement systems to track and encourage student participation. So make them accountable for not getting prepared for class, or the opposite, for being ready to participate and being prepared to engage in your conversations in the class. Now, continuously assess and refine your approach based on student feedback and performance data. So feedback and reflection is really important. And be prepared to adjust your strategies to meet the needs of your students and the specific challenges of your courses. Depending on the nature of your courses, the flipped classroom might be more challenging than other courses because the truth is that it doesn't work so effectively for every type of course, but it's up to us as well to make sure that what we have actually helps students understand the importance of preparation and helps them understand that the flipped classroom is about using those 2-3 hours in the most effective way, the best possible way, giving them opportunities to engage, to discuss, to clarify ideas. Let me see here the chat. My biggest takeaway, be firm and clear with pre-class preparation and expectations tied to the participation rates. Absolutely. I really hope that you leave this session with that idea, that it's on your hands as well to make sure that your students are they feel they are responsible for their preparation. Remain consistent with some practices, keeping students accountable for their learning. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Then have a last question. Promise. Well, not promise, it's the last one. Yes, it is the last one. What opportunities does the flipped classroom create for innovation in your teaching? How can it better prepare students for real world applications? And that would be the opportunities, the last section of the SWOT analysis. How do you think it helps you innovate in your class? Or not? Feel free to do that. You don't need to agree. You might say, that's all. And that's I just want to hear your experience. Students become responsible for their active learning and engagement with the class material. Absolutely. Thank you, Professor DeVito. That is one of the main goals of the flipped classroom approach, active learning in class. And for that to happen effectively, students need to come prepared to class. Anything else? Students are able to freely share their ideas so all of us can learn together. I love that. It's this beautiful place where students show that they're prepared because they cannot talk about anything, something they don't know, right? So they're prepared and they're ready to engage with other students to learn from one another. Good question. How do you evaluate the effectiveness of the flipped classroom approach? How do you measure if this approach is working? Really good questions. Anyone? I think in the classroom, I'm going to answer, and please feel free to use the chat. I think you know that it's working when you see your students getting prepared, getting engaged, and you can actually use those 3 hours of live sessions to design active learning and critical thinking learning opportunities. I think when you see that you do that and students are engaged and you see the scores, not only the scores, but also the deliverables that they can do in the live sessions, we can tell that it's been effective. When you feel like you don't need to reteach, when you can actually design your lessons in a way that they build upon the pre-class resources, it's been effective. I love this, Tony. That is absolutely true. How do you know the flipped classroom is working? Well, you don't need to be the one in front of the classroom lecturing. When your students are the one doing the talking and you're just facilitating the discussion. You can prepare students for leadership positions, absolutely, where they feel comfortable expressing themselves in conference trainings and meetings. Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your thoughts on this. I am going to move ahead and ask you, are there any questions concerning this topic? Do you have any tips that you want to share with us in terms of what you do to help your students be prepared for your class? If not, feel free to use a chat. I'm going to share with you some resources that we have concerning the flipped classroom. As you know, we have Acorn. Acorn is your professional development hub. It's your LMS only for faculty, where you can find lots of resources concerning the flipped classroom. The first thing that I'm going to share with you is a self-paced course that has way more resources. It deals with this same topic, but it has way more ideas and resources that you can use. We also created a job aid for this to help you with tips concerning getting your students prepared when for your live sessions. Let me keep the links coming in the chat. We also created an infographic with tips to help boost student preparation for live classes. Finally, I think it's finally, no, not finally, but yeah. There is a link. The one that I'm going to share right here is a link to the Acorn catalog. The one that you see right here on your screen. So basically, if you click on that link, you will get all the resources, videos, courses dealing with the flipped classroom approach. And give me just a sec, please, because I don't see it here. I also want to share with you. There you go. I'm looking for this link. We also created on Acorn a forum to keep the conversation going. So we want to hear from you. We want to keep the momentum of yeah, there you go. So please, now I don't see the chat. There you go. This is in Acorn forum that you can use for to keep the conversation about these strategies. And of course, make sure that you complete this survey, request your certificate, and to give us your opinion about this session. Now when I'm ready, I want to share with you one last, oh, sorry, there you go. We have a few initiatives that we are going to be offering, actually 9 between this month and next month. So we have lots going on, which is truly exciting. But I want to invite you to 2 specific ones. The first one is the talk series that is taking place during faculty lounge, the second Fridays of every month. We are going to get together for 30 minutes to talk about topics. So the topic actually for next month is what to do if your flipped class flops. In other words, what can you do when you have tried everything? You have tried to help your students get prepared. You're trying to tie your in-class activities with the pre-class activities. You're trying to engage them with active learning, but nothing seems to happen. So join us on February the 14th from 1 to 1:30 p.m. where we're going to have a candid conversation about what we can do if our classes flop. Flip classes flop. Then next week we have our first reading club of 2025 is called the Faculty Lens. How do we assess and improve student engagement in different classroom modalities? That's on the 28th of January at 11 a.m. So again, thanks for attending today's session. Please complete the survey, request your certificate. I will be sending them directly to your email. And if you have any questions, if you need any support, the Light Center is here to help you. So thank you so much for attending and see you next week for the next reading club. Bye-bye.